And welcome back to the Film Reelcast. I'm Stuart, your host. Today we're going to be looking at episode 7 of WandaVision. And for those who haven't seen the last episode, check out the playlist. There's episode 6 on there. You can check all of that out and you can catch up with what's actually going on. And before we start talking about episode 7, just a reminder, please subscribe to this channel, leave comments and put notifications on as well, just as below. There's also the audio podcast where we're doing Lethal Weapon 1, 2, 3 and 4. Next up, it's Lethal Weapon 3. They're all available on iTunes and on Android as well, and all good podcasting platforms, and you can catch up on many, many more. There's over 100 different reviews on many weird and crazy films. So, onwards with episode 7 of WandaVision. So this episode is set very much like Modern Family and very much like The Office as well, where you've got people talking, being interviewed. And you see from the off that things aren't right. Since the Hex has been expanded by Wanda to save Vision, the home is just falling apart. It's changing styles. It's going from the 50s back up to modern times when Billy and Tommy are playing the computer games. It's going from Atari to SNES to Xbox. And then it goes to Uno. And Uno could be a reference to Captain Marvel that Monica was seeing playing with the Skrulls playing Uno on the stairs. So it could just be a little trick that's going to lead us down the wrong path, or it could be a hint to possibly what's happening later on and one of the Skrulls. But I think one of the Skrulls is coming into this, and she could be revealed a bit later on, but we'll talk about that when we discuss about Monica trying to get inside the Hex. There's a really interesting part where Wanda's talking to Billy and Tommy, and they're asking about the answers, and she says, "You think I've got all the answers?" And they say, "Yes." And she says, "Well, I think that everything actually is meaningless." Now, is this a hint to us, the viewers, or is this a hint to both Billy and Tommy that she actually doesn't have a clue? But what I love about the kids is they're always wearing colours that are relative to Wiccan and Speed from the comics. As you can see, the stripy jumper and the green tracksuit top. It's a really nice little touch. And things are changing. It's really confusing Billy and Tommy, and they even reference their Uncle Pietro. And it's interesting the reply that Wanda has back to both of them.
Don't believe anything that man said. He is not your uncle.
That's really interesting that she makes this comment. So why does she make this comment? Is it because she didn't think him into this Hex, so she doesn't believe he's true? Or the comment he made about dying twice in the last episode referring to Vision? Or is just she of a different frame of mind? Since the Hex has expanded, everything around her seems to be falling apart. The milk's changing, the food in the fridge is changing, the cereal's changing. So is it that she's just losing control and she's accepting this? Or she's accepting herself that things just aren't right? So Agnes turns up, conveniently dressed in purple, another hint to Agatha Harkness, comes along and takes the kids away from Wanda, and she's more than happy for this to happen. And we learn from director Hayward that he wants to plan some kind of attack to try and destroy Wanda. What he does want is Vision for himself, probably to use him as some kind of weapon on behalf of SWORD. And that's why he's tracking him, as we saw in the last episode, from when he moves inside the Hex. So back inside the Hex, we see the different characters, how they've changed. We see that Agent Monty is now the strong man, and that Darcy is some kind of escape artist. So Vision instantly goes to her and tries to connect. But she, interested, doesn't know who he is or anything of what she's doing. And then he kind of uses that mind control to unlock her. And together they come up with a plan to find out exactly what's going on. And they steal a vehicle, and as they're making their way, they're blocked on every occasion. There's roadworks, there's kids crossing the road. And this is possibly Agnes doing this, or this could be Wanda doing this. We really don't know just yet. But something is stopping them both from getting there. So Vision takes things into his own hand and just decides to fly off, leaving Darcy behind. So Monica meets up with a sword unit led by Major Goodner. And I was expecting someone huge, a massive character. She kept on mentioning that she's going to meet her contact, someone who knows how to get into the Hex. And I was a bit disappointed that this wasn't a character that I'd actually heard of. Whether she's known in the comics, I honestly don't know. But it could be a case that Major Goodner is a Skrull. And that's what I think. I think that a cover is being kept as a soldier, and it will be developed that she's a Skrull. I'm probably going to be wrong. I don't want to be wrong, because it'd be amazing to have the Skrull from Captain Marvel carry over into this episode. But that's what I'm hoping. So Goodner and her colleagues, who could be the astronauts missing from episode 1 that were mentioned, have this space vehicle. And the idea is to drive this space vehicle into the Hex so Monica can go in there and see Wanda. And it's interesting, it's a massive hint, and she doesn't need to do it. I don't think she wears a spacesuit. Why does she wear a spacesuit? It's convenient setup. Underneath the spacesuit is the uniform that's really similar to Photon from the comics. And as she goes through this, it's rejected first of all, and the vehicle is spat back, cannot make it through the wall of the hex. So she breaks through, and in doing so, her eyes light up blue. Her DNA, if you remember that they said her blood work's changing due to being thrown out the hex, and it's affecting her genetics. And she fights her way through, and the uniform changes, and she's really taking on Photon, and her eyes turn blue. I think from now on, genetically, she is Photon. We've previously spoken about the adverts, and the adverts always have a message and are always linked to Wanda somehow. This one's for Nexus antidepressants. And this is a shout to Wanda being a Nexus being in Marvel lore, which is an individual who's the same in every kind of reality, which possibly could link towards a Doctor Strange multiverse film that's coming up. Monica goes to see Wanda, and Wanda doesn't take kindly to this and starts to attack her. And now she's got her new powers, proving that she is Photon, and Photon's power that she can take in all energy and use this energy, that when Wanda hits her with one of her kind of beams, that she uses the energy to harness her landing, kind of Iron Man style, and her eyes are glowing up blue. So this is a massive hint to what's to come. But Wanda does start to listen, and Monica says to her, don't let Hayward make you the villain that everyone thinks you're going to be, so he's got a reason to try and take you out. And Wanda starts to listen. And just when you think the message is going to come through, that Agnes is watching, and Agnes comes, you would say comes to the rescue, but knowing what we do, she intervenes and she drags Wanda away. Also, putting it out there, I think the delivery man who's there is the same as the postman, and is the same guy who is the sword agent who went through the sewers, who came up wearing the beekeeper's outfit. I think he's keeping a low profile and he's taking everything in. And that's going to be revealed later on. Just a theory, but that's what I think. So Wanda goes to Agnes's house and she sees the food there and she wonders where the kids are. So she goes to find Billy and Tommy, and she's told by Agnes that they're down in the cellar playing. And when she goes down there, she finds it's not a normal basement. It's like the cellar of a castle. There's vines everywhere. There's really large brickwork. It's no ordinary basement. And when she goes down to the cellar, there's loads of horns on the wall. And it's like Mephisto, kind of signs on there that possibly it's going that direction. Or again, is it a tease? And there appears to be loads of different doors. These different doors could be accesses to different multiverses. Again, it's that Doctor Strange tie-in. And she sees this book, it's like a spells book, and it's glowing orange. I'm not too sure what this is just yet. If you know, please leave your comments below as what could this be. And Agnes comes downstairs to confront Wanda. She's got her rabbit on her. I'm not talking about the other kind of rabbit, the battery powered. I mean the fluffy rabbit, Signor Scratchy, which could be Nicholas Scratch, who's her son in the comics. And she uses her magic, and you've got that purple glow from her fingers where she closes the basement door and she says, my name's Agatha Harkness. Finally, it's been revealed that everyone's been saying. And she says, finally, nice to meet you. And she uses her magic, and the sides of Wanda's face glows up. Then it goes into this wonderful music montage of all the times that Agnes, or Agatha as we know her now, has appeared, and the kind of the backstory, the things that we didn't see that she was doing behind the camera. It's so clever and cheeky.
Who's been messing up everything?
It's been Agatha all along.
Who's been pulling every evil string?
It's been Agatha all along.
She's
And then we get a post-credit scene. I think this is the first post-credit scene they've had, where Monica is trying to get into the basement of who I believe it's Agnes's house, and then Pietro turns up. Whether he's going to be on her side, doubtful. Whether he's going to take her down to the basement, and we'll see a kind of a standoff between Agatha and Wanda and Pietro. We'll soon find out, surely, who created Pietro and how he came into this hex. So that was just a really quick and brief look at episode 7. Again, it's really enjoyable. There's so many different theories out there on the net that it could go in so many different directions. I'm glad that Agnes has finally played her card and revealed herself, as we always suspected, as Agatha Harkness. So where it will go next week will be interesting to see. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. As per below, as it says, please subscribe, please leave your comments, and share this as well. I really enjoy doing it. Again, it's not too detailed. I'm not a massive comic book nerd, so I don't know all the history, but I really enjoy this series and love talking about it. Okay, my name's Stuart. I'm from the Film Reel Cast, and I will see you next week.